Okay, we're good. He is the first user submitted recipe.
User submitted? How about community?
There, that's what I mean. Okay, listen, dude. I've been doing like new job stuff the past 2 days, so
He's the first victim. I mean,
he's the first.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
That works.
We offer up the first sacrifice.
I do need to warn you though, Rob, because he'll spontaneously shout my name, as you're aware of. So
Yep.
heads up.
Okay, that hasn't happened for a couple.
Last episode, wasn't it? One before.
The 2 episodes ago, you were sick, so you're kind of out of it.
Yeah.
And last episode, we were just so defeated from our poor meat handling skills.
That was the best episode, I have to say, ever. So good.
Well, I mean, we do what we can.
Well, shall we start this, gentlemen?
Sure, I'm down.
Oh, hold on, I got a joke.
Okay.
So what did the
Oh god,
wait, I gotta get it out. Hold on. What did the rabbi say to the Doberman Pinscher?
I don't know.
what did the rabbit? Oh shit, say that. It's not gonna be as funny, but I did not hear you, Artie.
He'll sneak it in again.
Okay.
No, you only get one. Just one.
Just one? I don't
just
believe
one.
you.
Yeah, you only get one. Dan!
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
You got it.
That's a twofer.
That's a twofer.
He's got a bev in hand, folks. He's feeling a little loose tonight with the Dans.
Dude, it's a Coors Cup. Let's.
Oh, sorry.
Break. Break. It's like a fourth of a step above water.
That's a generous description. I feel.
Sorry, I gotta hydrate. It's very hot.
See, you don't even know if you're holding the can anymore. It could be the beer. It could be the water.
All right.
So you might have heard another voice on the line here. I guess, do we have him in by phone? Like, is he
long-time listener, first-time caller?
Yeah, right. On line one, we have.
Yeah, we got Rob. Rob is joining us. Rob's actually a gaming buddy of ours and a big supporter of the podcast. At least he keeps telling us we do okay, and we appreciate him for it.
Indeed.
And earlier in the series, I mentioned that we'd be interested in doing some community requested recipes. And Rob is our first guinea pig. So, Rob, do you mind if you give us a little insight as to maybe some of your culinary background, like any cooking or expertise that you might have in the kitchen?
No expertise, really. I like to cook. I would not consider myself, even I guess a home chef. You could call me. I'm okay. I'm good making ramen. Pretty good with that. Popcorn in the microwave. No, I do all right. Little backstory: when my wife Heather and I first got together, this poor thing, she couldn't boil water hardly. So it was up to me to cook. So
Sure.
so we taught her. She learned her how to cook. But I'm definitely not a chef by any means. I'm just a guy who cooks. I like to barbecue. That's I do all right on the barbecue, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that makes 2 of us because I think it was the exact opposite. I was the one that couldn't boil water, and then my wife had to kind of step up her game, and so she brought a lot more a variety to my cuisine prior to her. I was just fast food and ramen as well. So
The old barnyard special.
Oh yeah. You ever heard about that, Rob?
No, I have not.
It's a little thing I used to get at Wendy's where I'd go get like the really cheap junior bacon cheeseburger, and then I'd get the cheap 4-piece nuggets. I put 4 or 3 nuggets on that junior bacon cheeseburger, and it's the barnyard special.
I like it.
It's actually pretty good, but it is
Yeah,
I've
it is.
never
definitely
tried
not
it,
good
but
for you.
no, definitely not. I mean, when you got your chicken and your beef there all together. That's right.
Yeah, you got
Once
the
he
whole farm.
when he first told me about it, I think the next day I went and tried it. I was like, "Damn it, he's right."
Now, oh well, watch what I do tomorrow for
Yep.
lunch.
Right?
Rob and I are down in the South, so we have the luxury of a restaurant chain called Whataburger,
Oh,
and
oh,
they have probably the best, but still not good for you, but really
yeah,
good.
it's fast food, but
Yeah, it's fast food, but
Mhm,
their
mhm.
breakfast line is actually pretty good. They have taquitos, which is basically one of the single reasons I survived college
same.
Okay, alright.
because they serve their breakfast from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. So it's great, like after bar food. It's great if you've got all night studying, that kind of stuff. And then they came out not too long ago with the honey butter chicken biscuit,
Mm.
and that thing, it's worth the abysmal wait times at Whataburger to get.
Alright,
So was the
alright.
taquito.
Yes, it is.
My Waterburger story from what 6 months ago. Left
Yeah.
it. We were playing video games and left it. I left it a little bit before 11 or right at 11, and was there in line in the drive-through for over an hour waiting just to get my taquito. It was an experience. I've never waited that long.
Yeah, that's an extreme. I've never
Yeah,
waited an hour. I've done a good solid 20, maybe 25 minutes. And even then, you're just like, this better be worth, and it is. It's
it's
worth it.
always worth it. Yeah, it could have been 2 hours. Still
So,
would have been worth it.
all right. Well, I guess since I've been chatting up the guest, Mr. Artie, do you want to introduce the dish and then maybe have Rob walk us through like how he came around it?
Yeah, of course. So it's, jambalaya no, I'm just joking.
Come on now.
Ja
Oh boy.
jambalaya jambalaya,
Okay. Close enough.
and, I mean, how would you say it?
Jambalaya.
Yeah, that's what I said, jambalaya.
No, that ain't right. Okay, whatever, Artie.
I said jambalaya at first
Oh well,
because,
you should be slapped.
I don't pronounce things correctly. It's a joke, dude. God.
Well,
Not starting off great here, Rob.
isn't it French? So they just drop off the last half of most of their words anyway,
Yeah,
right?
right. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll get to
Oh,
that.
I'm sorry. History time. Sorry, go ahead.
History.
Damn it. All right, Rob. So yeah, tell us about it. What is it to you?
Well, I'm not from Louisiana, even though that's where I currently reside. I've been here for
Okay.
20 years. I'm actually from the great state of Texas. I moved here, I think 20 or 22 years ago, something like that. But it was a dish that, you go to a restaurant, you go to any not any restaurant, you go to a Cajun restaurant here, which there's plenty of. It's one
Mhm.
of the staple dishes, that they make. And you can either, well, not here, but they make there's a Creole version and a Cajun version.
Yeah. Mhm. Okay.
Creole version is more tomato based.
Oh,
Mhm.
Cajun is basically what we made.
Yeah.
okay.
The Creole version to me isn't as good because of the tomato base to it, and that you can have gumbo that's tomato based. You can have etouffee that's tomato based, but I don't like any of it that's tomato based. But
Okay.
I have a good friend that I worked with many years ago. This is more or less his recipe. Um, he well, now he's he caters for a living. He has his own catering business
Oh,
here, and
Okay.
this was his recipe pretty much. There ain't really I didn't change really anything about it. But yeah, this was his recipe, and I've been cooking it for 15 years now, I guess.
okay.
Um,
Nice. Okay.
that's kind of the story, but it's not nothing I come up with. It's actually his, but I've been using it for a long time now.
Were you ever a big jambalaya fan before this, or was this kind of like your introductory?
No, like I said, I'd had it at restaurants, before, but it was to me never as good as his recipe. And of course, I didn't know what the difference is really. I can't imagine it being too much different, between a
Sure.
restaurant or homemade, what they're doing or what he did. But I think a lot of it has to do with the cast iron pot that it's cooked in.
Okay.
I think,
Okay.
and I'm sure restaurants are not doing it like that. They're probably doing it in a regular, stainless steel pot or whatever.
Mhm.
But the seasoning of the cast iron pot, after being used for so much, kind of helps with the flavor, I think.
Hmm. I have
Okay.
little experience with cast iron, so I couldn't really answer to that.
Yeah. I mean, over time, as you use a cast iron, it develops, like you said, seasoning. So all the fats they polymerize the porous cast iron.
Mhm.
So that's why, even though it's cast iron, a lot of them are nonstick. What that also does is that imparts all the flavors of those fats that have polymerized on that surface. So,
Interesting.
so that is a real thing. If you have a very aged cast iron, yeah, it will be thoroughly seasoned.
Yeah,
And
mine
will
is 15 plus years old, so it's been used a lot.
yeah.
Wow. And like the longevity of these cast iron pots, is that normal? Is that frowned
Oh yeah,
Oh
upon?
yeah. Yeah.
yeah. No, I mean, yeah,
Hun-
it's
hundreds of years, literally.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
My friend, the one who introduced me to the recipe, he has a gigantic. It's probably 30-gallon. I mean, it's
Oh,
huge. It's gigantic. It's a big bowl basically that he sits on like a propane burner,
Mhm.
and he
Yeah.
cooks it like that. And his
I
is
believe that's
about
called a cauldron.
well, yeah, I
It's,
guess you could say that, right? But his is about 45 years old. It had been passed down from like his, grandmother or whatever to him.
mhm. Okay, cool.
I bet you that's not a light thing to carry around.
Absolutely not. It's a three-person carry,
Ooh.
three
Okay.
men carry at least. It's heavy.
Wow.
Well, with that, I think I'm gonna give you guys a little history lesson.
Are you a little nervous since you got someone kind of like deep in the heart of the history?
Absolutely not, actually.
Ah,
So, here we go. As usual, I apologize for mispronunciations. I will, as is the norm, screw up something. Sorry. Okay, so jambalaya is a Louisiana dish. And the cool thing about this dish is it actually has its roots in both France and Spain. So jambalaya takes its name from the south of France, and it was originally spelled very similar, actually. It was a Jambalaya, and it was pronounced jambalaya. A little French bit on it.
Okay.
Um, and then apparently, what happened is that when Spanish individuals started moving and immigrating into the United States, they would end up in the New Orleans French Quarter. So, what the whole idea is that this is actually a combination of a French style pilaf and a Spanish dish called paella.
yeah, yeah, yep.
Okay. Can
So,
you explain what those two are separately?
yeah, so they're literally just rice dishes.
Oh, okay.
But what happened is that when these two cultures met, jambalaya was born. And like Rob said, there are two versions. There's a Creole and there's the other version.
Just Cajun, mate.
Yeah,
Basically, is what.
Cajun.
Yeah,
Okay.
So, like you said, the difference is tomato. But the reason the tomato was added into it is that originally saffron was used. And since saffron was so hard to get at the time, they used tomatoes because tomatoes have a similar flavor profile to saffron, apparently. So that's where the tomato came in. And
Interesting.
then the other idea is that it's actually connected to West Africa. So, due to the transatlantic slave trade, there were a bunch of sources that linked the origin back to West Africa, and because the dish is very similar to jollof rice.
Interesting.
So,
Hmm.
as usual, pick a story. Pick a story.
Choose your own adventure.
Choose
Choose
your
your
own
own adventure.
adventure. And yeah, so and it's traditionally made from whatever ingredients were on hand.
Yeah.
And so like seafood, fresh meat, smoked meats, and then tomatoes are present because of the lack of saffron. And that's if you're making that version.
Creole
Okay.
version.
Yeah, the Creole version. So yeah,
Interesting.
that's it. That's jambalaya.
Mm.
So basically, it's literally and figuratively a melting pot of
Hmm.
different cultures and what they kind of. So do you think maybe like the French and the Spanish kind of got together, said, "Oh, I make that, but it's kind of like this," and "Oh yeah, I make something similar." It's kind of, and they just kind of put it together.
Yeah.
Okay. The the overall, when I saw this recipe, first of all, being in the South for so long, I have not been exposed to as much of the Creole, Cajun, Bayou kind of food. A lot of Tex-Mex and then some seafood, obviously, but I've never really had much of an exposure to this style. And I would say any French cuisine would have been the more like the croque monsieur that we did a long time ago, and maybe some of those higher end kind of meals, as opposed to what I would consider more of a communal dish. You just kind of
Hmm.
make this. It's a big, almost like a stew risotto kind of situation, and everybody just kind of grabs and heaps it on their plate, and it's like a family get together. Everybody's sitting around the table, kind of.
I make this every Christmas. So
Do you?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. So yeah.
Okay, it feels like, and it
Hmm.
feels like you could just throw anything in there, like, "Hey, we've
Kinda
got
could.
some
Yeah.
chicken, throw some
Hmm.
chicken, and we got some sausage," and is there any specific, like, have to be in ingredients?
Rice.
That's
Well,
fair.
Go ahead, Artie.
I have a question for you on this. So when I was doing all the research,
Uh-huh.
apparently, and you can talk more to this, please do. The Holy Trinity is supposed to
Uh-huh.
be in
I
all the
know.
time.
I didn't use celery. I know.
Okay. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So the Holy Trinity
Uh-huh.
is onions, bell peppers, and celery.
Uh-huh.
And
Oh,
that's a cross. That's a big deal in Southern cooking.
It's a Southern New Orleans thing
Yeah,
or
yeah.
South Louisiana thing. Yeah,
The
it's
whole
okay.
the
the
Holy
holy.
Trinity.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
funny because I know how ingrained in the New Orleans, in Louisiana, the bayou, like, food is to culture, like, it is insane.
Big time. Mhm.
Like red beans and rice and a lot
Mhm.
of these staples of dishes. And I mean, I've been to New Orleans. I love the music element of it. And so there's just so much heritage and culture. And it's just like there's so much of it from so many different areas that it's just this conglomerate, you know,
Melting
a
pot.
quiz.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
And so I think that's cool because it gives a lot of variety in food, but it also kind of anchors everybody to that area. But yeah, if you got anything else, Artie or Rob, I'll jump into the dish.
No, man, that was it. My history is done.
Okay. School's
Taught me a
out.
thing or two. I kinda liked it. Artie, way to go.
You know.
Did you learn something? You're supposed to be
Yeah,
the expert on this, Rob.
no, absolutely not. I just make it from time to time. And I think my recipe's alright, so
Okay.
Hey, if it tastes good, that's what matters, bud.
Yep.
uh,
All right. So we'll get into the dish. The ingredients are pretty straightforward. To be honest, there's really nothing, to be honest, any scary or apprehensive about this dish. You
yeah,
got you
no.
got pound of sausage, pound and a half of chicken. You prefer chicken thigh. Is that
Dark
specifically?
meat doesn't dry out. If you use, like, chicken breast, it
Yeah.
dries out for whatever reason, super, super bad. Why? I don't know, but I've made it with chicken breast in the past, white meat, and it's not as good as a thigh. I'm sure
It's
Artie might
the
can.
Yeah, it's the fat content in the
Yeah.
thigh. That's why there's
Uh-huh.
also more flavor in thighs.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That I learned something again. 3 cups of diced onions, a cup of diced bell pepper, 3 cups of long grain rice. And I always underestimate rice, by the way, because 3 cups turns out to be
6.
a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I did 2. I probably could have told you to do 2 as well, but 3 is what the recipe calls for, and I usually do 3, but yeah.
I'm learning from all this that I should just half everything right off the top. Just half everything. If I'm
Uh,
supposed to
uh,
make a sandwich, I'm only making half a sandwich.
on a quick note, this recipe is basically a quarter of the guy that I got the recipe from. This is a quarter of the recipe that he
Ooh.
normally makes. This is broke down to a quarter.
And
So
you said you do this every Christmas. Do you do the full
I
recipe?
do a half. I do
Okay.
or do twice what we did basically for
You gotta be
Christmas.
eating on this for a week.
We get when we've got 30 or 40 people at Christmas, then
Woo!
we're eating, and then everybody takes some, to go if there's any left. Because
Well, I know where I'm
after I
going
have
for
a
Christmas.
if yeah, if there's any left after us eating on it, once or twice during the day at Christmas. So
That's cool. It's almost like, Thanksgiving, everybody has turkey. I like that. That's cool. All right, and then we move on to a cup of vegetable oil, 4 minced garlic cloves, a teaspoon of cayenne. I'm sure you could probably up that if you wanna kick it up a little bit. And
I
then,
do.
Artie made a little addition or modification. He only said 32 ounces of chicken stock, but I'm glad I checked in with you, Rob, before I made it, and you said you should up it to 48.
Yeah, and
Um
I even add water if I need to, if it's not enough when I'm
Oh.
doing um well, I'll let you finish the
No, you're good, and
ingredients.
then just salt to taste, that's pretty much it. He like I said, already kinda tweaked it a little bit when he put it into our form. If there's anything that's missing from that, please jump in and let me know. But,
Yeah, I looked at it. I didn't see anything other. I did see that he
okay.
put 32 ounces, but I mean, you could get two of those 48-ounce chicken stock if
Mhm.
you wanted to. You might have some left over, but I usually just get one, and then I have to add like I know you had told me that your rice wasn't quite tender
Yeah, it was
after.
yeah, it was a little undercooked. I'll get to that a little bit later, but yeah, I think number 1, that comes just from me being a novice, and number 2, I've never cooked this dish before, so
Mhm.
the only rice I've cooked before has been like the cup, with HelloFresh or whatever, and that usually goes pretty easy. This is a massive rice. This is a lot more rice than that, and I overestimated the time it would take. But yeah,
Well,
so you
it's
said
also not just the rice that's in there too.
Yeah,
It's
you have all the ingredients
yeah, so
while you're
so
doing the rice.
so that's why after I put 32 ounce up and I was like, well, I think in the end I was shooting that 64 ounces I think is the sweet spot
hmm,
because you got to take into account the rice volume and the volume of all the other stuff too.
sure.
Yep.
So that in the end, I think 64 ounces is like a sweet spot.
Okay.
I mean, and sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm kind of curious how much this guy that this is a quarter of the recipe. How much chicken stock does that guy throw in on the full deal?
I don't know. It's a bunch. That well, I don't know how
Gal-
much he uses. Yeah, it's a bunch.
Gallons?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. And
I just think
like I do, he adds water too. If you needed, if you don't have enough chicken stock,
Yeah, yeah,
water's fine.
okay.
completely.
All right. Well, that's pretty much it. The steps, you do the chicken first. You boil the chicken in the broth until it's done. I do want to preface by saying your original recipe was very
Yeah, probably
and
vague.
kind of ambiguous, yeah,
Yeah.
to a
Uh-huh.
degree. And that's fine because Artie likes to see me squirm. So the personally, me, the good little government worker that I wish I were, I give me my instructions in my owner's manual and I'm good to go. The lack of time to prep or time to cook, and the lack of when you just say until it looks done, that scares me
Mhm. Mhm.
because I need concrete numbers that I can kind of base my opinion on. But I just you said until it's not pink anymore, and that's pretty much what I did. And I knew you had to shred the chicken after you boil it, so I just basically kind of picked it up every now and then and just saw how pliable it was, how
Yeah.
much I could with just a simple fork, if it was kind of pulling itself apart, I kind of knew that was close to being good enough to shred because you're throwing it back in later, and it's going to
Mhm.
cook a little more. And then you said don't pour out the broth, keep it. You're going to be using it later. And then in another pot, you do the vegetable oil, the salt, the pepper, and the cayenne, and then you put in. You say to it's black.
Well,
Um, what does that
yeah.
mean?
Well, in the cast iron pot, it turns black. The oil is black.
Oh,
That's why I said that. If you heat it probably 30, I mean, it takes a while, but 30, 40 minutes it took me, it will finally start turning a black color.
so
The oil itself will get it. Yes, it's a long time. I'm stirring that oil and salt and cayenne pepper for 30 minutes at least on
okay,
medium to medium high heat.
okay. All right. Well, then that was one of the first times that I messed up because I thought number one, I was in a stainless steel pot. and then the cayenne pepper flakes started to burn. Like they turned black, and I was like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
guess that's what he means." So I mean, they were just it looked like pepper sitting in the bottom of this oil. Um, and so I kind of assumed that was okay. That might have been the first step of me not doing it. What's going on there? Why is it turning black? What is the accomplishment of that?
Party. I don't know.
Um, if anything, all you're doing is pulling like the flavors and seasoning
Flavor. Yeah.
out of the cast iron because oil doesn't blacken unless there's something in it.
Okay,
Hmm.
So, but in the case where you don't have cast iron, the other option you can do is, excuse me, is darkly saute the vegetables.
what does that mean?
That so you throw the vegetables in there and you sauteing them, you brown them, and that will kind of get that same. I assume it's a flavor profile that is imparted into everything else.
Okay,
Um, so I think if you don't have a cast iron, the closest thing you can do is get all your veggies like dark, which would kind of give you that same flavor profile
interesting.
with the salt and the cayenne, because all that will caramelize. There it is. Wow.
I didn't know you were
Jeez.
working around to that word. I'm
That was
sorry.
a struggle. So yeah, it's like a nice dark caramelization with the spices in there would be your other option to kind of reach that flavor profile that dark oil would impart.
See, I do have cast iron on my list of things to get for the kitchen, but I'm kind of sad that I didn't have that now because I really want to.
I tried to tell you to get one.
You did. It's just and I didn't get
I
around to it
know.
in
It's
time.
all right.
And I feel like cast iron cookware is kind of it's almost like it's a heritage item. You get passed down from your grandma or something, and or you get inherited because you have to season it when you first get it, and
Yeah.
usually you want
Oh,
something that's
not
been seasoned.
some of them are pre-seasoned. Like if you buy the new Lodge
Yeah.
cast iron, they say seasoned.
Oh, okay. All right.
The only thing you really have to do is clean them and then oil them. Put a thin layer of vegetable oil after you're done cleaning it, and it's
Okay.
good to go for the next time because it will rust if you don't put oil. If you don't oil it every time after you clean it.
Maybe that can be something we go over already later is, handling cast iron and proper technique. Do you use cast iron much in your stuff, Artie?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a couple.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I've got the pot I cooked in, and I have 4 other size pans. One gigantic one and 3 kind of or 3 other small ones,
Mhm.
smaller.
Maybe someday I can upgrade to cauldron status.
Can I get the
Cauldron.
400-pound cauldron, please?
Just me in the backyard. Toil, toil. Boy.
That is exactly what my buddy looked like when he was cooking jambalaya in that thing. He had a damn ladle that was 4 foot long. That he's out there stirring it.
Is it
Uh,
does he have the giant wood paddle?
no, his was metal, but it
Oh,
was
okay, yeah.
giant, a
Woo,
giant
yeah,
metal paddle.
yeah.
Just put a
Huge,
boat
Mhm.
oar in there.
and he pretty much is what this
That's
looked
what
like.
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're boat oars. That's what they are.
Well, the next one after we do the blackening of the cayenne pepper vegetable oil salt mix is you add the onion, bell pepper, and garlic, and then again stirring constantly until the bell peppers are soft and the onions are getting dark. Again, an arbitrary or just no time given here. Rob, what would you say is the appropriate time on this step?
that was another 30 or so minutes.
Jeez, this is a long dish. Okay.
It took me an hour and a half ish to from start to finish, and that
Okay.
well, not including boiling the chicken. I did that early, or actually Heather did that while I was at work and
Okay.
had that ready for me when I got home.
Well, I grossly underestimated the time on this because I tried to time this with our normal dinner time, and n- I flew right by that one. That one did not. So I had really hungry people waiting on me, and I'm like, the rice is still crunchy. I'm working on it. So the next thing after you do that, you add the sausage and stir constantly again, and then you say until almost black on that. Is that cast iron related, or is that just general cooking with
Think
the sauce?
so. I think so. I
Okay.
think it's mixed with the oil and darkened, not black, but darkened vegetables, and I think that all has to do with probably from the cast iron.
Okay.
Because if you try to cook something too long in a stainless steel pot, it will just probably burn. I'm assuming if you try to cook it for that long, I don't really know in stainless, but
Hmm.
in the cast, as long as you keep stirring it won't burn. That's why I said constantly stirring. That way, it's
Hmm.
not really sitting on the pan, I guess, to burn.
My sausage never really the pinkness of it got darker as it got
Yeah.
cooked, but
Mhm.
I guess the biggest change in color, which still wasn't even that significant on my part, was the skin around the sausage that darkened, and I assumed just because mine wasn't really moving quickly on that, are you looking at the total sausage turning dark or just the skin or like what
Total
exactly?
sausage. I
Okay.
tried to capture that in the photo that I did share
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah, you did, and I'll put that up on any of our media stuff, but it's definitely,
And you seen it wasn't black, but it was definitely dark.
yeah, exactly. Because I ran this by my wife, she said, "Until almost black," and I said, "I'm pretty sure that means it's burnt." Like, what does that mean? And she's like, "I don't know, this is something I've never really worked on." But,
Right.
after we do the sausage black, you add the uncooked rice, shredded chicken, and then the chicken broth until it is covered in a pot. Now that's kind of typical from what little rice experience I've had where, you put a cup of rice in and then you put enough water to where it's just, just over the top and then it absorbs the rice as it cooks and then or the rice absorbs the water as well as it evaporates a little bit and eventually you want to get to where all the moisture is, thick in the rice and the rice is done. Bring to a boil, cover, reduce heat to low, cook until rice is tender and or liquid is gone. Do you have a time limit on that one?
No, just when the rice
Just
is tender.
okay. All right.
Because when I did mine today, rice is generally, I guess, you make it out of a bag. It's usually 25 minutes or so
Mhm.
from, you let it, time you put a lid on it, give it 25 minutes and it's ready. I usually check it around the 25 or 30-minute mark. If the water's gone and the rice is still not cooked, that's when I add more water.
Okay.
More water, let it go till, and that's exactly what I had to do today. I added probably another half a cup of water or so.
Mhm.
Let it go for another 10 or 15 minutes. Checked it again, and the rice was tender, and then it was done.
Okay. Well, my final product, it was good. It was good. I had nothing really to compare it to, so I don't want to say it was bad because I don't know, but my rice, there was a couple crunchy bits. Most of it was a consistency that was rice was supposed to be. But I think just the sheer volume and then not really having the experience on just kind of eyeballing it like you guys
Mhm.
have and your experience with this specific dish as well, Rob. I definitely would do it again, but I would give myself much more time. And then I have a couple more from talking to you, a couple more identifiers that would help me understand when and where to move. The other thing that I was a little concerned with that kind of gave me a little apprehension was my vegetables basically just disintegrated. They I had no solid I couldn't discern green pepper or onion. I mean, there was like really filmy. I could tell that it was once maybe onion skin or something, but and it wasn't bad, but it didn't have the volume and the color profile that you usually see associated with with jambalaya because it's usually it looks like an amalgamation of different things. You see the green peppers, you see the onions, you see celery, you see the red of the sausage or whatever it is and mine was it was kind of bland. All it was white rice with sausage in it. I couldn't really tell
Mm.
the vegetables were there, but I mean it tasted fine. The wife actually had some more today for lunch and or dinner and I mean we it was good. It just I've cooked rice better than I did on this and I solely take responsibility for the dish being the way that it was, and I don't blame any instructions. But now that I know more, I would assume the next one would be much better.
Please get a cast iron pot before you try it again.
All right, well that was mine. I guess Artie, you want to go ahead and go through yours, then we'll let the professional do his last.
Yeah,
Shit,
totally.
professional.
So a couple notes. So the blackening, what you're doing is you're charring the food, and that's like a balance between caramelization and burning it. So it imparts a flavor profile. So that darkening, that blackening, you're
Uh-huh.
charring it, but not burning it.
Okay.
Um, and as to where you said like your vegetables kind of melded into everything,
Mhm.
that's not bad. That's good. That means you caramelized everything. It was so soft that when you were boiling the rice with everything else in it, it kind of melded together. So all those flavors just went together. So that's not a bad thing. Um,
Let me
and
jump in real
usually,
quick.
yeah,
Shiz, mine does that every time. That's how it's supposed to be.
yeah,
It does. Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
that's you didn't do that wrong. I mean, that's exactly what happens. It's just a big mush of nothingness, really.
Okay,
When
cool.
you're adding your juice, when you're adding your broth in and everything with it, like like Artie said, it kind of just mixes in with the rice basically and gives it the flavor. If yours was bland, I don't understand that. I don't know
I
what happened there, but
I think I'm more meant visually bland.
okay,
I was expecting more color, more
gotcha,
just
gotcha.
more, whatever. So, but
Okay.
anyway, sorry, go ahead, Artie.
Yep.
yeah, yeah. So I followed the recipe. The changes did, I did a couple things differently. I used fresh vegetables because I try and use fresh whenever I can. And then I did add in the celery, and I also added in shrimp
I seen that. Uh-huh.
Oh,
because want some shrimp in it. Um,
Did you do chicken and sausage as well with the
yes,
shrimp? Okay. All right. Yeah, I've
yeah,
had it with shrimp too. It's
yeah,
delicious with shrimp.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was good. But yeah, so I also did not use a cast iron pot. I do have a Dutch oven though,
Mm-hmm.
so it kind of the same. The way it conducts heat is very similar. Um, so I threw the oil in there, threw everything in there, got nice and dark and caramelized, got some char on it. Then then I took out my vegetables, put in my meats, and did the same thing. Got a nice char, a nice caramelization on those. Then combine it all together again. Then threw the rice in, mixed it all up, threw all the broth. I started with 32 ounces because it came up and it filled up to the top. I should have known it wasn't enough because when it comes to rice, there's always the finger test. So if okay, all right, Dan, all right,
I'm
Dan,
I'm 40
let's
years
let's
old. You got to
I'm
let
waiting.
specify which finger
Waiting.
test you're doing.
let's put those eyebrows down, buddy. Okay, so the finger test is
Please.
the tip of your finger
Yeah.
rests on the top of the rice, and the
Okay.
liquid comes to the first fold of your finger, and that means you have enough liquid.
Oh, before it absorbs any.
Yes.
Oh,
So
okay.
that wasn't there. I should have known better. I didn't. So I did that, and then rice went done. So I added more in. Um, and then in the end, it was good. I was like, there's a couple crunchies, but it is what it is. Still tasted delicious. Everyone ate it. I ate it today for lunch too. No, I ate it for breakfast actually.
Nice.
Oh, there we
I was
go.
like, I was like, all right, I'll do this. Um, but it's very good. And like you were saying, it's not a complicated recipe at all.
Mhm.
Um, it's just taking your time, doing what you need to do correctly, and just realize that you're going to be cooking for 2 hours.
Yeah, it's a labor of love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a lot, so it can feed a ton of people. I think this recipe is about 12 good servings, so plenty of food.
And this is a quarter of what he usually. Wow.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was delicious. It wasn't overly complicated. Um, and yeah, I'm gonna make it again. Definitely, it was very good.
Yeah, I before Rob jumps in, I do want to say this is a dish that can go a long way. You can like I said earlier, you can eat on this for a while depending on how much you make. What would you say the shelf life of this? Is this something you can throw in your fridge and eat off for a week, or what would you say?
Absolutely. Yes, you
Okay,
can. I've done it
I
before.
I would say a week at the most,
Yeah, I
at the most.
wouldn't push it any more than a week, but yes, it's
but
I,
like
after
good.
Christmas we've had a bunch left over and I've eaten on it for probably a week or close to it.
Yeah.
Okay. Do
Um.
you did you put you said you did shrimp on
Mhm.
yours. You said you put all your meat in at the same time?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Because then I followed Rob's and he said chicken first, and then you add the sausage in with the rice. So, or just before the
Oh,
rice.
no, no, so I did chicken first, then sausage, then I did the shrimp.
Okay, so you did 3 and you did 1, 1, 1.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha. Okay.
yeah, I thought you meant when I cooked it all of it together, I had it all together.
Of course you would put it all.
It's
I
like,
just
"Yeah, Dan,
All
sure."
right. All right, Rob, tell us what we did wrong and how you're perfect at it.
Yeah, okay. Same thing. I boil the chicken.
Yeah.
Let it cool. If I'm doing it the same day, then it just sits over there while I'm getting everything else ready. Do the oil, salt, and cayenne till it's black. Sorry you didn't see that, but
It's all
uh,
good.
and then once that's black, I throw all the vegetables in there, constantly stirring those until they're basically a mush. There's not any discernible vegetable that you can really tell after that.
Mhm.
Um, and then I throw the sausage in and cook it for 30 minutes or so, constantly stirring it. It turns, a darker color. I guess with doing it, I've probably done it probably 50 times at this point, so I just kind of know, when I think
Yeah.
it's looks good. Um, then throw the rice and chicken and the broth in, and then you know bring it to a boil and let it simmer. And then, like I said, if there's not enough liquid, or if the rice is still crunchy, and I just put more water in it.
That's
You know,
that's that's something I need to get better at is thinking on the fly about what options I have. Because for me, I'm so by the book that if it's not on the paper, I shouldn't do it.
But
And
I've
you
heard
guys
you
are
say that so many times, and I felt like I
yeah,
probably need to tell Dan that if his rice isn't done, throw some more water in it. And I'm like, nah, he's a grown ass
yeah.
man. He'll figure it out well.
I really appreciate all my friends and how they just like, nah, he can swim. He can swim. He can just don't throw him a life preserver. He's fine. But no, that's something I need to, and that's part of the improvisation because like not every utensil's the same, not every oven's everything. You're at the mercy of whatever it is you're working with, and you need to be able to
Mhm.
bob and weave and roll with the punches. So that's something I need to get better at. I get too focused on that recipe, and if it's not in the words, I'm looking at it going, it's might as well I'm doing it wrong. But no, I think this was a really good dish, and I appreciate you bringing it up, Rob. I really do.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for trying it out and having me on.
Yeah, no worries. Well,
Yeah.
before we end out, I just want to ask: is there anything that you do differently? Like this is your recipe, but do you ever get crazy and throw some other stuff in there or anything?
Like I said, I have put shrimp in it before. I've done crawfish tails in it before.
Ooh,
Um, Other than that, no, I don't really mess with the spices or anything. The spices are what they are. But
hmm
for protein, yeah, I've thrown different seafood, crawfish or shrimp. Uh, I usually always still have chicken and sausage in it though, always.
that seems to be the staple.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, but then, like Artie said, if you're doing any seafood, it's going to be the last meat you put in because it will cook faster.
hmm Now, I do want to make sure and say before we go, it's andouille sausage.
Andouille, yeah,
Mhm.
Okay,
andouille.
is there a reason that is that preferred, or because there's a bunch of different flavors of sausage out there?
Andouille's just what I use. It's readily available in Louisiana. I don't know
hmm
how readily available it is in other parts of the world, but that's what I
Uh,
use. I like the taste of it. That's what my friend that gave me the recipe. It's what he always used, and I'm like, oh yeah, that tastes good. I'll just keep using that. I haven't tried really any other sausage.
What do you think,
the
Artie?
andouille is, I think it's regional, of course. You can get it everywhere, but it's regional smoked sausage
Yes.
that, it's just part of that culture of cooking. That's what you use. You use andouille.
Okay.
Yeah, for any if we do crawfish and we put so we usually put sausage in with crawfish, it's andouille sausage. If
Yeah.
I make gumbo, it's andouille sausage, which hint hint, I have a good gumbo recipe also for later on down the road.
Oh man. Well, I mean, I suffered, so that means it's good. It's good content for Artie.
There you go. I am, like I said before, I'm gonna make this again, but I am gonna do some things to it because it's what I do.
Please do. I would like to. I'd like to know.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add saffron back into it, bay
Ooh.
leaves, paprika, and I'm gonna use de Provence, which is a French uh, herb combination.
Hmm.
There's like 5 or 6 herbs. It's got like all the things in it.
Hmm.
Huh.
I'm gonna
See,
see if.
Bailey's was in the original
Hmm.
recipe, and I can't tell the difference whether it's in there or not. So it's just one step to not have to worry about, in my opinion.
Hmm.
But yeah, Bailey's is in the original recipe.
Okay. But yeah, this was fun. It was good. Tasted good. It's super affordable to make. I think I spent $20
Yeah.
Yeah, I spent $25. Yeah, so
and
Same.
yeah,
easily could feed 12 people. Like
Easily.
this is a party food. You could be like, "Hey, come over, everybody. I'm making
yes,
vegan
yeah.
jambalaya," and everyone will be very well fed.
That seems to be the theme around Louisiana food. You know, if you have a
Yeah, yeah,
crawfish bowl, you're not making it for yourself. You're
yeah.
Yeah.
you're boiling 200 pounds of it for the whole neighborhood, or
Hmm.
you know, a wedding, or God knows what. I've had crawfish at all different
Yeah,
kinds of events. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Well, and being rice, it's a very filling dish too. I mean, this
yeah,
fills you up.
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah. I put a little hot sauce on it. I put the
What kind of hot
wrong
sauce?
wrong hot sauce.
what does that
What
mean?
So my wife got me the hot ones box,
Oh, uh-huh.
Oh no.
and
Oh.
I went to get their vinegar based one. I grabbed the last dab.
Oh my. Oh, did you really?
I finished it. I wasn't wasting it, but yeah. So the first batch I didn't taste. I just tasted hot.
Oh no.
Second one was good. I got to taste the breakfast version, which is good because then it kind of set overnight and all the flavors really melded together.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, the first time was
Little
slightly
warm.
painful, a little painful.
Whew.
Yeah, we
All
have
right.
Louisiana hot sauce is what it's called. Louisiana. It's just called Louisiana hot sauce. It's made
Hmm.
somewhere down south, and that's what I'll put on mine, which is not nearly as hot as the last dab.
Yeah, that stuff's stupid.
Well, Rob, I want to thank you for coming on, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
guys, thank
thank you,
y'all for
Brent.
having me. Thank y'all for having me. Appreciate
The
it.
uh
Feel
the
honored to be the first guest.
yeah, man. Well, I mean, we went with somebody we trusted. We didn't want to leave it up to some random person to come on here and start spouting stuff about food, and we're watching each
Yeah,
other like,
right.
what?
Right. Be like, oh well, good thing we're not using that one.
But no, it's we appreciate you guys listening, and especially you, Rob, in your feedback and support, and we'll definitely have to jump back in because out of the dishes that Artie and I have thrown on the list, we haven't really dabbled much in Cajun or Creole
Not
or
yet.
any of that stuff, and I think it's cool. It's different, and even I
Hmm.
feel bad that I haven't tried it, being as close to you as I am. Uh,
Mhm.
that I haven't really jumped into this style of cuisine, but it's good. It's got a lot of flavor.
Yeah,
Yeah, very flavorful.
a
Yeah.
lot of good flavor.
All
Well,
right.
that's well, we had 2/3 of the Holy Trinity, so already had it all. It's in every
Oh,
it's in yeah, those 3 ingredients are pretty much in every Cajun dish.
I, I
Awesome.
felt I felt as I added it, a light come down upon me, and little celeries and onions and bell peppers began to sing my praise.
All right. Well, tell everybody where they can find us, Artie.
Well, you can find us on all the socials. We are Hot and Hotter on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok. You can find our video podcast, This Thing, on YouTube. And you can find our audio podcast everywhere those pretty little ears get their podcasts.
Ooh.
We're
And if
everywhere. You can't
everywhere,
escape us.
if you are a community listener out there and you have a recipe or a dish or something that you'd like to throw our way, again, you can contact us through any of those different avenues that Artie just
Yep.
listed.
Hmm.
we would love to incorporate as much of the community into what we do. We're just two guys having fun, learning about stuff in the kitchen, and we'd love to incorporate any and all that are just as interested in it as we are.
Yeah, slide into those DMs.
Yeah, hit those D.
No, you slide into them, not
Dude,
hit them.
I'm sorry, I
It's
don't do
so
that.
violent.
You're you're the
God.
you're the social media guy. I just do
Wow.
edits. That's all I do.
Oh.
I'm the gremlin in the dark office slaving away. That's what I'm doing. But
Well,
yeah, that's all I got, man.
all right. As always, y'all, keep cooking. Bye.
Take care.
Peace.
Oh, sorry.